Guys, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our SwiftUI tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at how we can apply a badge to list cells and tabs in a tab view. Now, what is a badge? Well, a badge is a small little decorative type view of sorts. It's a UI element that you can put either a numeric value or a string into. If you do use a string, it should be as short and concise as possible. For example, let's say you updated your app on the App Store and you have like a new tab, and you want to highlight the fact that this tab is new when before someone opens it for the first time, and then afterwards you don't want that badge to be there anymore. Well, you can have a badge that says new inside of it, and you often see this UI pattern for app updates, where if they have a new tab, they'll have a badge on it that says new, and it will only appear the first time before the first time you use the tab. Oftentimes you'll see badges used when there are unread notifications for a certain part of the app, or when trying to convey the number of items in a list or something like that. So we're going to take a look at how we can use the badge modifier to convey the number of items in a list, and then you can do this. You can do a similar thing with strings. I'll kind of explain that to you as we go along. So let's go into our content view. And right now I have a navigation split view. This navigation split view has a list as its sidebar. And then we have two navigation links inside of it. One for going to the all contacts screen, and the other for going to the favorite contacts screen. Now, for each of these navigation links, I want a badge attached to them that indicates how many contacts there are and how many favorited contacts there are, respectively. I have computed properties for this at the top of my view. So if we go up here to the top, I have a, var all contacts count, which returns an integer, and this integer is simply just contacts.count with no closure attached to it or anything. It's just the property. Then I have favorites count. This is a little bit different, and you may not have seen this syntax before, but this is pretty basic Swift. What we're doing is we are using the count method instead of the count property, and this method takes a closure. And this closure, in this case, because we're working with a contacts array, takes a contact object, and then it returns some kind of condition. So in this case, we're returning whether or not the contact is a favorite. So this will now only count the contacts that are marked as favorite. Pretty simple stuff so far. Inside of our navigation split view, here we go. Let's go ahead and say dot badge and then in this case we give it a count, which is an integer, and we can say something like all contacts count. But you could also do something like badge new, like that. And this would work too. this is entirely valid, using a string instead of an integer. However, because we're using a numeric instead of a string for this, we'll get rid of our string version and keep the numeric one. All right. For the second navigation link, it's much of the same. We can attach another badge modifier, and we'll pass it favorites count, like that. We can save this, and we can run our code now. Now, the thing about using badge on macOS is that if you use this on a tab view with a tab, remember how the tabs are up in the toolbar. The badge doesn't show up for that, because on macOS that's not the right UI pattern for how that works. So badges don't apply to tabs on a tab view with its tabs. But because we're in a navigation split view and we have a list, and then when we focus on them, we can see our badge. So we get 100, and then we have 46 for favorites. So there's 100 contacts, but there's 46 favorites. A little less than our 50-50 shot, but that's fine, right? So that's how we can apply badges to our list cells. Let's take a look at this on iOS. Activity view. All right, let's just go ahead and run this in the simulator. All right. It's got to load and do its thing here. All right, so here we are. And so you can see the two navigation links that we have, and you can see the badges that are applied to them on iOS. It's relatively simple. On iOS, badges are interpreted as these red bubbles of sort with white text in them. You often see this when you're dealing with, say, apps that have notifications that you haven't seen yet, mail with unread emails and stuff like that. Okay? So that is how that looks on iOS. What if instead of using a navigation split view, we used a tab view? How would that look? And we attach the badge to a tab instead. Well, that's actually pretty simple. Let's go ahead and get rid of navigation split view here. Okay, so I want Let's get rid of our navigation here. All right. So I'm going to, all right, get rid of that, and we'll say tab view with a tab. All contacts with a system image of person dot circle and we'll have a closure that has all contacts screen. We'll pass it the contacts that it needs. And then onto this tab, we can say dot badge, all contacts count. We can have our second tab, so tab, favorites, like that, and a system image of star with a closure. And in this closure, we're gonna have favorite contact screen, pass it the contacts that it needs. And then again, on this tab, we'll say dot badge, and we'll pass it favorites count. Favorites count. There we go. Save that. And then we can run our code again. And we get our build succeeded. So let the simulator kind of run and do its thing here before we do anything. All right. All right, so in the tab bar now, we can see that we have badges attached to the tabs where the all contacts is 100, and then we have a certain random number of favorites. Pretty awesome. That's kind of what we wanted here. Now, let's see what this looks like on macOS. Just to kind of prove a point. We'll go to my Mac, run that. And so here we are in the macOS version of our app. However, all contacts and favorites, they don't have a badge attached to them because on macOS, that's not a place to put a badge. In fact, when you try this on AppKit to build a tab view and then attach a badge to a tab there, that doesn't work. You can't do that. But you can attach a badge to a tab in a tab view on macOS if you use the new sidebar adaptable tab view style that was introduced in WWDC 2024. Now, we'll cover that in a separate video so you can see exactly what I mean, but just know that you can show a badge for a tab on macOS if you need to. You just have to use a specific style for your app if your app calls for that kind of style. And we'll take a look at that particular style in another video. But that pretty much does it for this video on badges in SwiftUI. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.